When I left the penitentiary in 1969, I devoted my life to just helping others. I just didn't know what else to do.
Imagine a child so gifted that by the age of 10, they were solving problems that most adults could only dream of. Now, imagine that same child growing up to become one of the most dangerous criminals in the world, using their extraordinary intelligence not for good, but for manipulation, deception, and crime. This is the story of a child prodigy who could have changed the world for the better. But instead, they chose to use their genius to become a criminal mastermind. How did someone with so much potential fall down such a dark path? Stick around as we uncover the shocking transformation from genius to criminal. The prodigy's early years. From a very young age, the individual we're talking about showed extraordinary talent that set them apart from their peers. They were a child prodigy, capable of mastering complex concepts that most people couldn't even grasp. At just 7 or 8 years old, they could solve advanced math problems and had an innate understanding of subjects like physics and engineering. Teachers were astounded by their abilities, and they were often given opportunities to excel in academic environments well beyond their age group. Family members and friends would marvel at the speed with which they learned and the depth of their knowledge. It wasn't hard to see that this child had the potential to become a leader in science, technology, or even academia. The future seemed bright, and people around them had no doubt that their brilliance would take them far. However, despite all the external praise and recognition, something darker was brewing inside this young genius. Instead of channeling their intellect into a traditional path, such as pursuing a career in academia or science, they began to feel bored by the structured confines of school and academia. This sense of detachment from conventional expectations started to push them away from the positive opportunities available. By their early teens, their exceptional abilities began to attract unwanted attention, but not in the way that most child prodigies might experience. Instead of being motivated by a desire to solve the world's problems, this young prodigy started to feel the constraints of societal expectations and became increasingly intrigued by the potential to manipulate systems and outsmart others. The world had placed high expectations on them, but soon it became clear that they would pursue a path that no one saw coming.
I got arrested for armed robbery with a mate of mine.
The turn toward criminal activity. As this prodigy entered their teenage years, their intelligence began to take a more dangerous turn. Rather than using their talents for academic or professional advancement, they became increasingly fascinated with the idea of breaking rules and manipulating systems. What started as small, harmless pranks or games that challenged authority grew into more serious forms of deception. With an uncanny ability to understand how things worked, whether it was people, technology, or institutions, they started testing the limits of what they could get away with. Their mind, constantly seeking new challenges, turned from solving problems in a conventional sense to devising ways to outsmart the law, break into secure systems, and manipulate those around them. By the time they were in their late teens, the young prodigy had become involved in activities that were undeniably criminal, albeit calculated and deliberate. They began exploiting their intellectual abilities for personal gain, orchestrating elaborate schemes to steal, defraud, and manipulate. While their peers were focused on schoolwork or extracurricular activities, they were building a criminal empire, carefully planning their moves with the precision of a chess master. Their activities didn't just involve petty theft. They were involved in cybercrime, identity theft, and fraud, using their brilliant mind to exploit weaknesses in everything from personal security systems to financial institutions. This transition marked a pivotal moment as their prodigious intellect, instead of being a force for good, became the tool of a dangerous, calculating criminal mind. Mastering the art of manipulation. As this former child prodigy delved deeper into the world of crime, their intelligence wasn't limited to just executing complex schemes. It evolved into an exceptional ability to manipulate people. Their understanding of human psychology, combined with their intellectual prowess, made them a master at controlling those around them. They could easily identify a person's weaknesses and use that knowledge to bend them to their will. Whether it was convincing people to commit crimes on their behalf or charming their way into sensitive positions, the Prodigy's manipulative skills were a crucial part of their criminal success. They didn't just rely on their own abilities but created a network of accomplices, each unaware of the grander plan, making them an even more formidable force. This ability to manipulate extended beyond just individuals. It was applied to systems and organizations as well. They understood the complexities of bureaucracy, laws, and societal norms and exploited them to their advantage. The Prodigy would use charm, intimidation, or even psychological warfare to influence people in power, ensuring that their criminal activities went undetected. It wasn't just about outsmarting law enforcement. They created a web of deceit so intricate that it was nearly impossible to unravel. The Prodigy's ability to control both people and systems showcased how dangerous and calculated they had become. Their brilliant mind, once focused on academic achievement, now orchestrated a series of criminal operations that were almost impossible to trace back to them. The Criminal Mastermind's big break. By the time this prodigy reached adulthood, their criminal activities had grown increasingly sophisticated, culminating in a series of high-stakes crimes that would cement their reputation as a criminal mastermind. Their big break came when they orchestrated a meticulously planned heist that required not just intelligence, but a deep understanding of security systems, human behavior, and law enforcement procedures. This wasn't just a simple robbery. It was a high-profile operation that involved hacking into secure systems, exploiting vulnerabilities, and manipulating key individuals to gain access to sensitive information. The planning took months, and every detail was accounted for. When the heist was finally executed, it went off without a hitch. The authorities were completely baffled, unable to piece together how it had been done or who was behind it. The success of this operation not only made headlines, but also served as a turning point for the Prodigy's criminal career. Their abilities were now undeniable. What started as small-time scams had transformed into large-scale, sophisticated crimes that had serious financial and social impacts. The heist marked their transformation from a budding criminal to a full-fledged mastermind, someone who could outthink and outmaneuver the system at every turn. The money and resources they acquired allowed them to further expand their operations, and they continued to orchestrate complex criminal endeavors with even greater success. This wasn't just a lucky break. It was the culmination of years of careful planning, manipulation, and intellectual prowess. It was clear that this individual had the potential to become one of the most dangerous criminals the world had ever seen. The cat and mouse game with authorities. After executing the successful heist, the Prodigy quickly became a target for law enforcement. However, their brilliance allowed them to stay several steps ahead of the authorities, engaging in an intense cat and mouse game that lasted for years. The Prodigy knew how to cover their tracks, leaving no evidence behind and ensuring that each move was carefully planned and executed. They exploited every weakness in the system, whether it was through digital forensics, human error, or security loopholes. Law enforcement was constantly chasing shadows, following false leads, and watching as this criminal mastermind effortlessly evaded capture. The authorities had the evidence but lacked the understanding of the Prodigy's intricate methods, making the chase even more difficult. What made this situation even more daunting was the Prodigy's ability to blend into normal society. They didn't live the lavish lifestyle or draw attention to themselves. Instead, they remained quiet and unassuming, often shifting identities or disappearing for long stretches. Their ability to manipulate those around them also ensured that no one would testify against them, as their network of accomplices was loyal and well managed. This strategic genius allowed the Prodigy to remain elusive for a long time, increasing their notoriety with each passing year. It wasn't just about committing crimes, it was about outsmarting an entire system. This prolonged standoff with law enforcement made the Prodigy not just a criminal, but a symbol of how intelligence and strategic thinking could be used to evade even the most diligent investigators. And that's the incredible, yet tragic story of the child prodigy who became a criminal mastermind. It's a stark reminder that brilliance can be a double-edged sword. While it can lead to great achievements, it can also be twisted for dark and destructive purposes. This story of manipulation, intelligence, and ultimate downfall serves as a cautionary tale for anyone who thinks they can outsmart the system indefinitely. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more gripping tales, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever heard of similar stories? Let me know. Stay sharp, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.